Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video.
Well, I'm back here at Giga Texas. Thanksgiving is over and I'm back to a relatively normal schedule. And it's great to be flying here once more. Now that we're into December, and you can see it's a lot colder than it was before. So we're definitely getting into winter. Now, I do want to talk about something briefly that is of big importance for Tesla, and also what we're going to be seeing here at Giga Texas going into the new year and beyond. And that has to do with full self-driving. And it seems like it's really starting to hit its stride right now, and something definitely has changed with that program. First of all, over in Europe, in France, Germany, and Italy, yesterday they started doing drives with the public who could sign up to do and experience FSD drives. And as you can tell by some of the images and some of the video clips here, it's doing extremely well there. Now, this is not getting approval for full self-driving quite yet in Europe, but it is the beginning, and this is part of that process. And with all of the reviews that are getting so far, it looks really promising for what's going on in Europe, and hopefully next year we're going to see this being allowed to be adopted across many of the countries. Now, in addition to Germany, France, and Italy, it looks like the Netherlands, Spain, and possibly Austria may be next. And who knows, maybe it will continue to go through all of the other countries within Europe, and maybe the regulatory bodies will be able to see this and realize that it is definitely something worth providing to the public as a safety feature for vehicles. I think it's really important. I know a lot of Europeans who've flown over here to try out robotaxi and full self-driving are excited about this as well. Now, there's also some reports that in South Korea, we may be seeing more full self-driving soon as well. So that's great to see. Now, it's just not only in Europe that we're seeing full self-driving doing well. Back here in the States, a few people have been doing videos about how well it is driving in snowy conditions. And with these videos here, you can see from the Cybertruck guy and also from Dylan Loomis that it is really remarkable what full self-driving is able to do in all kinds of conditions. So not only in Europe, maybe in South Korea, but also in freezing and cold, snowy areas, it looks like full self-driving is really coming into its own. And I'm really excited to see what that means here at Giga Texas next year as we see Cortex 1 continuing to do the training. Of course, the Cybercab coming online, which is going to be using full self-driving. Cortex 2, the more of the infrastructure to support all the power needs, and a lot more. Now, one other thing about full self-driving, just a kind of a personal thing that I want to say, and I think we're hearing this from a lot of other people too about how great it is. My sister Sue and her husband Ed came out from Riverside, California very recently to spend a couple of weeks and Thanksgiving with me. Now, why I'm telling you this is that back in April of 2024, they got a chance to see and experience full self-driving while they were visiting me. And it made a big impression on them, and they decided that they would buy their first electric car, which was a refresh Model Y, and also specifically to get full self-driving. Now, my sister and my brother-in-law kind of are emblematic of a lot of people that can use full self-driving. In their case, they're just getting a little bit older, and it gave them back their independence, their confidence, and it really was the driving factor for them to make the 1,300-mile trip from California to visit me in San Antonio. Of course, we spent a lot of time driving around the area, and they're on their way back. So they're going to have nearly 3,000 miles worth of driving once they get home, and it's going to be completely on full self-driving. So I think that one of the biggest things about full self-driving that Tesla needs to kind of emphasize as we go forth is that with it, it brings back control of your life. It brings back independence, it brings back options, it brings back confidence, and it just makes driving so much safer. So I do hope that with worldwide kind of phenomenon that's going on, that we're going to see a big adoption of full self-driving in 2026. So without further ado, let's get in the drone. Let's see what Giga Texas looks like today. There is a lot to see, a lot to talk about in the video. As always, thank you very much for your support. Let's go flying.
If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. Well, good morning from Giga Texas. First day flying in December. We're starting at the very far south of the Colorado River, looking back to the main factory. On the right, you can see the Falwell Lane kind of diversion that is being constructed. And on this side of the highway, next to the caisson on the right-hand side of the screen, we can tell a lot more of this work with the pipe system, a possible water detention pond being built in the center of the screen, more of the expansion for apartments and industrial complexes, and a lot more throughout this area. Now, as I look down, take a look at what is going on with this particular caisson. And as I zoom in, you can see that a lot of the gravel has been placed. They put the concrete opening with the kind of access here, and it's about 2 rings from the top. And then we'll see if that's going to be filled all the way in. We can also see some of the earthwork around this area just to the south of the tree line. So this area continues to see a lot of changes and work on that intercept system for the water system throughout this area. Now I'm going to fly to the west over the Colorado River back towards the West Support Facility for Giga Texas. And we'll take a look at this material staging yard. Besides all the pipes that we see at the bottom of the screen that have been delivered over the last week or two, we can tell that there are some more deliveries in the middle of the screen. They've also put up a fence kind of in the middle here of the yard, breaking it into 2 parts. But this is what these items look like here today. And it's kind of hard to tell for sure. They have some of this white plastic wrap around them. But anyway, some more deliveries, and we see some additional items here, maybe related to what we just saw. And again, this is all production equipment, most likely slated for other parts of the Cybercab production line. And it's a great view of these red and white items with some of the silver-wrapped robotic assemblers waiting for their turn. There's a lot of different kinds of production line equipment stored in this part of the site on this near the river road. As we look over the concrete vaults, some other items being staged here. What I want to show in this section, this fenced off section, is all the green wrapped items now have been moved into the factory on the east side where the Cybercab production line is being installed. So I think that we can pretty much determine that that equipment that was there, it was related to the Cybercab production. Now, a lot of the racks for the castings is still being stockpiled here, many of which came from the far north, where they've cleared out that large field for potentially the Harold Green Road extension or some other construction. But next to these racks, you can see some wooden crates that have been recently delivered and stored here. I'm going to bring the drone up higher. We'll fly over the power lines and then come down to this material staging yard. See a lot of activity here, possibly a delivery that has just taken place with that truck near where all of these items are for the 4680 cell production part of the factory. We are seeing a lot more equipment being delivered here at the bottom of the screen. And then I noticed some activity with this group of workers. And it looks like they're moving some materials around. Those gray racks on the bottom left are similar to what we've seen going into Cortex 2. So I'm not sure if those are related or not. The gantry crane has been brought back over here. It's on that trailer. And then here next to the workshops and some more of these trailers and containers, we see what appears to be a little bit more of these transformers. I think there's been a few delivered over the last week or so while I was doing the Thanksgiving holiday with family. So I'll just keep an eye on this, but it does look like there's more here and some more deliveries being made in this general location. You can tell with this truck here. So I'm going to bring the drone back up. We'll pull away farther to the east. I'll pan back over towards the outbound lot. And let's take a look at what the activity levels look like here with production. Seems like it's a pretty healthy run of production. Again, a lot of Model Ys, mini Cybertrucks as well. Looks like what we're seeing at the bottom of the screen are Model Y premiums. And on the opposite side, closer to the factory, is where they're starting to accumulate some of the Model Y standards. And as we'll see later in the video, I saw Model Y standards exiting the factory, so this may be the Model Y standard production day. And they do kind of stagger that throughout the week. But on this side, a great view of all of the vehicles that are beginning to accumulate. And we don't see the overflow to the south here at the bottom of the screen yet, but I would expect to see that closer towards the end of the week as production continues to outpace the ability to transport during the week. But as you can tell, there are new Cybertrucks bottom of the screen. There's some more on the left of the screen. And then the test track here is very active with Cybertrucks and Model Ys. As we pass over the former track on the right, some more vehicles are being stored. See a lot of grouping here of vehicles. Now, what's interesting is that they all seem to be pretty dark colored vehicles today. And I'm not sure if they are doing a different approach with painting or what the deal is, but it does seem like there's a lot of darker color Model Ys today. I'm flying over this field. I just want to check and see if there's any progress or changes. This is where I expect eventually a welcome center to be constructed. Didn't really see much. I did see this kind of grouping of dirt at the center left of the screen. I also saw some workers earlier in the week, or at least last week, in this area. And what I think what they were doing potentially is what's going on here, where they're adding in some more electrical boxes. And it looks like there's some additional pads, maybe with manhole covers nearby, and they are framing it out as if this is going to be a concrete poured. So that'll be something that we can continue to monitor. So we fly over the delivery center and the end of line facility. You can tell that there's a lot of Cybertrucks all lined up here. They drove autonomously through the tunnel and are waiting for their turn to be processed through the end of line. So again, a lot of activity on this side of the site. Let's get ready to go back over the highway and we'll see what's going on the other side. Stopping here briefly, I wanted to see if there was much activity that I could note with the crane. At the time of my flying here, there really wasn't. A little later, I noticed the door was open and more items were being delivered. However, while I was here, I thought I would fly up to the roof, show you that the work to continue to install the solar panels continues. You can see the racks on the unirack mounts on the ground here. More of the solar panels nearby. Workers are installing them and connecting all of the lines over to the inverters. You can see racks of more of the solar panels aligned here. And this continues all the way down to the south end of the factory. And some more items have been lifted up onto the roof near the crane. Bring the drone back down on the west side, fly back to the south. I'll briefly stop here to show you a vehicle exiting the factory. This looks to be another dark colored Model Y standard and a couple other white ones nearby. But anyway, it just seems like most of them are dark color ones or the white, and I don't know if that's because of what the orders are like or if they anticipate that that is what the desired color schemes are going to be. And I'll just keep watching that so we can see if there's any other trends that are noticeable that might give us some insight into the painting process. As I stop here at this entranceway into the factory, I just noticed this vehicle. It looks like it may be utilities on the left-hand side of the screen with the doors open, and just a good view of just a little bit of the activity going into that particular entrance. While I'm also here, I'm going to fly over the road and we'll take a look at what is going on with this caisson. There's been a lot of change over the last week, and they continue to reconfigure this entire section. And it almost looks like there was a change of plan after they made the caisson. And as we get closer in, you'll see why. Now, some of the spreader bars are now on the ground as they are filling in a part of this trench. You can still see the sheeting around the walls and being held open with the spreader bars. But all of the concrete vault segments have been stacked on top, and they go all the way down to the bottom. This is just to the north of the caisson, where you can see about 3/4 of the surface ring or two have been broken up around this access point. As I pull back, this gives you a great view of what this appears like. And again, it looks like it was a bit of a change of plans as they were installing this, but I'm not sure exactly why that would be. Now, it may be related to what's going on the south side of the river road. See a lot of the equipment stacked by here. It looks like a little bit of a workshop nearby as well, maybe for horizontal drilling or tunnel boring machine. That would be something I'll continue to watch. And as I zoom in here, you can tell that the pit on the left with some of the beams is being filled in, and at the bottom of the pit, it's really hard to tell, but it might be for horizontal drilling with that apparatus on the bottom. Again, I couldn't quite get in close enough because of the crane and the power lines, but I'll try on the next trip. But I'll point the drone back to the east. We'll fly along River Road. You can see some more work on the south side on the right of the screen. And I noticed some more excavation work here just to the north of River Road. As you can see, they are kind of scraping some of the dirt away from where there used to be a trench in this area. But nothing really noticeable as far as pipes at this time. So they may be just sprucing up that particular area. It'll be something I'll watch as we continue to fly along and get further into the week. As they come up over the power lines, you can tell that the Cortex 1 cooling plant with all of the fans is heavily in operation today. Maybe that's related to the full self-driving that we're seeing going on worldwide. As I bring the drone back down to the River Road extension, you can see that all of these pipe segments, which will be used for underground water management, is still stored here along the roadway. The berm work on the right and where it looks like the road's going to be widened. Some more gravel has been brought in here. And also, all of this excavation work looks like instead of a detention pond, it's probably going to be a place for those pipes to go through and maybe connect up to where you see pipes on the upper left and allow for drainage, and then it'll be maybe covered all back up. But there is a lot of work that's being done here in this section, and I think this is a pretty great view of looking at what all is happening on this part of the clearing. Now, we do notice that much of the tree debris has been now cleaned up or in the final processes of being cleaned up, and they have a mulcher, so they are breaking it all down, and you can tell that in the upper left of the screen that's actively being worked, and then all that is being moved off site. It also seems to me that they are starting to move some equipment at the bottom right center of the screen away from this area as they continue to clear out and start to prepare for reconfiguring this entire area for construction. You can see that there's some earthwork trucks at the bottom right and some open sections in this part of the area as well. Now, as we fly over the pipe fabrication workshops and also the recycle center on the right, I'll give you a better look from this vantage point of the clearing and what all is going on, especially with the mulching work that is underway. And also a great view of just sort of the grade, and you can see how much more they have to do to get this all graded out and level. Next to the trees, we see another one of these drainage ditches going along Robotic Avenue. They actually have two on both sides, and the one on the top part of the screen has had that grass seed mix done, and it looks like they have the riprap placed in a couple of different areas and around the drainage tunnels going underneath the road. And then you can see that's going to happen very similarly on the other one just to the east of the Robotic Avenue. I'll also point down here, you can see what the intersection between Robotic Avenue on the right and River Road Extension on the left is starting to take shape, and we'll continue to watch that, see how it develops. And then we pass over this last remaining pond from the sand and gravel days. We can see this material staging yard with some of the concrete pipes and some of the green colored pipes as well. And I'm going to zoom in on the cooling plant for Cortex-1. You just get a good view from this vantage point of what it looks like here today. I'm going to keep the zoom in and show you some of these deliveries. A lot of equipment that has been delivered here next to stamping. Looks like it's just been uncrated. It's being prepared for installation. And as I continue to pan towards the north, you can see just a few more of those white painted items next to the wall, some with red as well. I think that's part of production line equipment, just waiting for installation. Here we see some of the recycling of the scraps for the stamping process, some excavation work, and some clearing at the bottom of the screen in the median. And as we continue to fly to the north, we pass the area where those green wrapped items from the Southwest Material Staging Yard had been moved and installed inside the factory. Also, we can see the activity at this third floor temporary platform. And as we continue to fly to the north, we can see deliveries being made for this platform and getting ready to be lifted up with that crane. You can see the trailer getting those unpacked. Again, I think this is all production line equipment related to Cybercab, as this is the part of the factory where all of that is taking place. The construction entrance next to the glass secondary main entrance continues, and we can see some construction on the inside of the glass. And then here, next to the transmission tower and this kind of blue item attached to the wall, on the ground we can see three different types of castings for Cybercab. We see the rear subframe on the left. In the middle, we see the untrimmed forward underbody, and then we see the hoop type structures on the pallets at the bottom of the screen. And then several of these are all intermixed together. And the inventory does seem to be changing out. We have seen this before in this area, but it looks like there's a lot more today. Those wooden crates may also contain parts or partial assemblies for the Cybercab. We see some other items that being unpacked next to the wall. As I keep the zoom in and kind of maneuver away from the power lines again, you can see a lot of the castings in the racks on the ground. Some of those are Model Ys. The one on the right coming into view on the ground is more of those hoop-like structures for the rear of the Cybercab, plus some others in the racks and a few others that are untrimmed off to the right. And I'll zoom in so you can see what these kind of hoop-like structures appear like. And if you remember a few videos ago, I was able to show you a partially assembled rear completed section of the Cybercab, and you can see where this was used in that design. As I kind of pull away a little more, just want to show you there's the pile of scrap castings next to that bin with the green top, and also the work that's going on with the furnace loading system and more of the scrap wheels that is used to melt down and make the alloy that is used for the castings. So I'm going to maneuver along this east side and just kind of give you a view of what is going on this section as we kind of maneuver over towards the east warehouse on wheels, look at some of the east support facility, which is all of this area, and just generally what it looks like here today. So I'm going to get closer up towards the construction site in the north, and we'll take a look at what's going on with the Megapacks and the electrical switch yard here momentarily. Good shot here of the roadway that we saw being paved on my previous video. We'll come back and look at Cortex-2 in a moment. At the bottom of the screen, you can see how all the trailers have generally been cleaned up. We have this kind of black fence where the trailers used to be at the bottom of the screen. On the left is a new tent that's being erected, and for the first time we've seen some work here related to the Megapacks just outside the perimeter fence, where it looks like they have poured some concrete on the trenches that held the conduit. They also are putting in some of the cabling, And you can get a good sense of this work here as they are pulling the cable in over to those concrete vaults. Now over these control trailers and into the main switchyard expansion, I'll zoom in and show you that there's a lot more steel that has been erected. They're in the process right now of putting in the A-frame poles. And you can see that the crane actually has one of them right now and is positioning it in to join two others that are already located. And if you look at the top of the screen, you can get a really good sense of the what this is going to look like when it's completed, as this is going to be pretty much a duplicate of what is going on with the expansion compared to the original switchyard. And as we just continue to watch, you can tell that they're getting these ready to mount up to the footings. And this will form that bottom of the A-frame. And then the rest of the parts are on the ground nearby and it'll be assembled in. And it looks like they're really putting a lot of effort into getting this part of the site with that bay with the transformer. And then we'll get a good sense of how this is all going to be connected and where it's going to be connected, as there are no poles, transmission poles on the north side right now. On the ground, we do see some more forms for slabs being put around the V-type circuit breakers on all of them. And this is a great view of that work. More of the steel has been erected on the north end. Again, if you look at the original switchyard, you can compare the two. You can see that it's pretty close to a mirror image of what has already been constructed, plus more of the equipment and items on the north end waiting for installation. So now I'm going to kind of fly along this north side looking to the south and pan over to the Cortex 2, and we'll see a lot of the activity that is underway from this perspective looking to the south. Now, there's a lot of activity on the east side of the Cortex 2. We'll come back to there momentarily. But on the north end, I just want to show you the materials, the pipes, some of the manifolds, other building materials that are being stored here, plus the work on the north wall to get that all completed and stained. On this northwest corner, you can see that some of the wall work continues to fill out this opening and frame out that receiving door. It's got a temporary road right now into that west hall, which is a higher grade. And then, of course, the retaining wall continues out beyond the structure, as you can tell. Now, in the middle of this site, we can see the trenching. They've been installing what looks to be the blue water pipe that goes through this part of the site. And we also see some gravel and some other equipment on the right-hand side of the screen. As we continue to fly to the south, we notice that a lot of the trench work for the conduit has been filled in, but now they're putting that blue pipe into this part of the site. Also the roadway on the right, and in this section, more trenching to kind of connect this blue pipe into the main building underneath where this opening and that personnel door is located. As I kind of pull away, it's a great view of some of the materials still waiting for installation. Of course, this asphalt road with what looks to be an entrance into the Cortex main facility. A good look at the trenching with that blue pipe, as I noted before, and then continued screw type piers being installed, some of the conduit being put into trenches, some trench boxes, and of course here with the asphalt underneath these screw type piers with the framed platforms against the wall, and then here with more platforms being installed on top of those piers. This is all to support the chiller plant for Cortex 2, and it looks like the work is definitely moving along very quickly, but there still remains a lot more of these platforms to be installed. Of course, we see more of the materials on the left that's being used for that. And as I pull away and pan up, a great view of this entire west side of how it is continuing to transform. On the south side, this is what it's looking like today, with more of the screw type piers being stored here on this side of the factory. And of course, that gives us an idea a lot more are yet to be installed. Some of that trench work coming out towards the left-hand side of the center of the screen. The frames on the bottom of the screen that have been used for this retaining wall. And a great view of what this looks like with all the concrete walls poured. And they're repositioning some of the frames for some either more pouring or that's been kind of wrapped up. We can see the frames being used for the structures near the building. You note that in the concrete walls that have been poured, there's some circular holes in it. I think that's because this is going to be potentially tanks to hold the water for the cooling system, and the pipes will go through that structure. And if that's the case, then we would expect to see openings into the wall created at some point. So that'll be definitely something to monitor. You see more of the screw-type piers being added into that one section on the left next to the crane, and a great view of this opening, which looks like there may be some receiving doors, at least the bases being installed. Of course, more trenching, concrete pipes, and other work being done on this part of the site. We've seen a lot of piers been put into the ground. You can see those circular depressions, so I expect more construction here soon. More trenching and water pipe here on the bottom of the screen, and it looks like a new workshop being erected using these containers as walls, and then the framing with the semi-temporary permanent roof for the winter. Speaking of which, we see the chiller plant for the cathode building have the plastic put around the walls or the base. And we've seen this before for cold weather ops, so perhaps there is something with the coming winter that they've decided needs to be protected with the cooling plant. So we'll continue to monitor that. So we get to the crash test facility. There's a lot of activity here. On this side of the building, there's about 10 covered Cybercabs, some of which look like they have had crash testing accomplished. With the wind, it's pulling a few of those covers away, so we got a little bit of a view. On the south end, you can tell that they are preparing for rollover testing. That's why the dirt is here in this location. And they use this to test various rollover scenarios using the flying floor, which is pulled by the mechanics room at the bottom of the screen and the cable, and then the car kind of flips onto that dirt pack. So that's really cool to see. It's one of the first times I've seen that being done here in a while. No real activity with the kind of earthwork near that pond on this side. So instead, I'll turn back and look at the north part of the crash test facility, and I'll zoom back in just to get a view of what is going on inside. Doesn't look like there's very many cars, maybe one Cybercab visible, or it may be a Model Y. It's kind of hard to tell with the lighting. And we see some of the crates and other items that are on the containers and also on the right-hand side of the screen. And those are all related to Cybercab testing that is underway here today. And the last spot I want to stop is just to show you the number of green transformers. The numbers have been pretty consistent for a while, but I did notice with the XAI Colossus being constructed that there were a lot of megapacks using green transformers just like these. So that'll be something that I watch to see if maybe we'll get another megapack site here, or maybe they'll be used elsewhere, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. So that'll be it for today. First day of flying in December, and it's good to be back flying here at Giga Texas. I hope you enjoyed everything we were able to see and talk about, and what's going on with FSD worldwide. As always, thanks for watching. Take care.